Just about everyone that starts the carnivore diet wonders what's going to happen to my cholesterol now that I'm eating a diet high in saturated fats. Stick around and see what happened to mine. Okay, 3 months in and I've already had blood work in preparation for my annual physical. I have to admit, I've been curious. My cholesterol has always been great, probably because I've always been into fitness and I ate what I thought was a decent diet. You know, the standard American diet / muscle and fitness inspired high protein diet. You know, low fat, low taste, on again, off again, interspersed with the all too often nacho binge or the Chinese buffet bulking phase. And the only time I've seen my bad cholesterol go up was when I went on the keto diet. But going carnivore, I was expecting to see worse results yet. I mean, we've all been warned, right? We've had the food pyramid burned into our minds through every health class we've ever taken. Eat your vegetables. Cut out the fat. It's going to clog your arteries. Eat margarine instead of butter. Drink skim milk. Eat whole grains. Oatmeal and egg whites. Throw out the yolks. You know the routine. Even my last primary care doctor ended every single visit with the same warning: you got to avoid eating red meat, and I'll see you next year. Okay, I said I was going to share my labs, so let's take a look at the labs. But before we do, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can follow us on our carnivore journey. All right, the day of the test was March 22nd, 2024, and the test results were about what I expected. If I go to the results of the lipid panel, you can look at my cholesterol. The total lipid panel value is 338, which is high. My triglycerides are at 74, HDL cholesterol at 58, and LDL cholesterol at 261, also high. The HDL, surprisingly low. And I like to compare it to, which is really cool about this app, I can compare it to the results of previous tests. So if I look at my total cholesterol, you can see where it's gone up and where it's gone down over the years. So if you go back to 2020, you know, everything was in the good range. Then you have the peak, and that was around the time that I was doing the keto diet for the first time. I got off the keto diet, and you can see the next couple times I had my cholesterol checked, it had dropped down back into the normal range. And then the last result right there, you can see it peak at its highest point, and that is now that I'm on the carnivore diet. If I go back, I'm just going to take a look at my progression for the triglycerides. Triglycerides, same type of thing. It's always been in a good range. It's still not really high, but it has gone up a little bit since I've been on carnivore. Taking a look at my HDL has always been in the good range. Now it's dropped down a little bit lower last couple times, and I don't know if I need to be concerned about that or not. And then my LDL cholesterol, if I take a look at the trend, again, the same basic thing. My cholesterol LDL has always been in a good range until that time when I went on keto. And then it shot up, and you can see how it came back down once I got off keto. Of course, I was going on and off keto. I think at the last time where it's at the lowest point before the most recent test is when I was pretty much off the keto and I was eating carbs regularly. But then that last test is definitely when I was a couple months into the carnivore diet. And of course, it's at the highest rate that it's been. Anyways, just as soon as I got the results of the test, I got a message also from my doctor saying he needed to talk to me, make sure I don't miss my appointment. So I'm prepared to talk about research that I came across about lean mass hyperresponders, because I thought I was one. Anyways, I came across some reports on lean mass hyperresponders, and I'm going to share the links in the description below if you're interested in going to the website where you could actually download the full articles. The first one is called Elevated LDL Cholesterol with a Carbohydrate-Restricted Diet, Evidence for a Lean Mass Hyperresponder Phenotype. And this is done by researchers Nicholas Norwitz, David Feldman, Adrian Sotomoda, Tro Kalajian, apologize if I mispronounce the name, and David Ludwig. And I can't read the report to you here, but I will read the results and conclusions from the abstract. The results state, BMI was inversely associated with LDL cholesterol change. Low triglyceride and HDL cholesterol ratio, a marker of good metabolic health, predicted larger LDL cholesterol increases. A subgroup of respondents with LDL cholesterol greater than or equal to 200 milligrams per deciliter, HDL cholesterol greater than or equal to 80 milligrams per deciliter, and triglycerides less than or equal to 70 milligrams per deciliter were characterized as lean mass hyperresponders. Respondents with this phenotype, N equals 100, had a lower BMI and remarkably similar prior LDL cholesterol versus other respondents. In the case series, moderate reintroduction of carbohydrate produced a marked decrease in LDL cholesterol. In the conclusions, these data suggest that in contrast to the typical pattern of dyslipidemia, greater LDL cholesterol elevation on a CRD carbohydrate-restricted diet tends to occur in the context of otherwise low cardiometabolic risk. And I came across another article, and I'll include this also in the description below, titled The Lipid Energy Model, Reimagining Lipoprotein Function in the Context of Carbohydrate-Restricted Diets. And from this website, again, you can download the text if you're interested. Again, by researchers Nicholas Norwitz, Adrian Sotomoda, Bob Kaplan, David Ludwig, Matthew Budoff, Anatol Kontush, and David Feldman. And in this article, they present a hypothesis that accounts for the phenomenon. And I'm not going to go ahead and read any of this, but I would encourage you to check that out on your own. Now, both of these articles define the lean mass hyperresponder as somebody with the LDL greater than or equal to 200 milligrams per deciliter, as I said, HDL greater than or equal to 80 milligrams per deciliter, and triglycerides less than or equal to 70 milligrams per deciliter. So I thought I might be a lean mass hyperresponder, but my HDL and triglyceride levels were actually outside the defined range. My LDL at 261, my HDL at 59, and my triglycerides at 74. So I really don't know what to think at this point. Of course, I'm not planning on abandoning the diet just yet. I'm going to stick with the carnivore diet. I have come across videos by people like Dr. Ken Berry. As a matter of fact, I'll share a couple of those videos with you. I'll put the links in the description below. One of the videos is titled Keto Made My LDL Crazy High, Lean Mass Hyperresponder Research with Feldman, Tro, and Norwitz, where he actually interviews the same researchers that put together those reports. And another video was titled High LDL-C with No Plaques, New LMHR Study with Feldman and Norwitz. Now, Nicholas Norwitz also has his own channel, and on that channel I came across this video titled This is Why There is Confusion About Lean Mass Hyperresponders with High LDL on Ketogenic Diets. And I definitely recommend you check this out. So again, I'm going to put the link in the description below. And in the video, Norwitz says that LDL particles are part of the causal pathway to ASCVD, atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. They're necessary, but they're not sufficient. And any of my students that have taken my critical thinking or my logic class know that I harp on the distinction between necessary and sufficient conditions ad nauseum. You need to know the difference between the two. And they may be necessary, but again, they are not sufficient for producing ASCVD. He says in the general population, increased LDL is associated with increased risk of ASCVD and plaque progression, but other factors play a role. And LMHR, right, the lean mass hyperresponders, are different from the general population. So the phenotype seems to be a metabolic response to carbohydrate restriction, and it's not a genetic defect. Lean mass hyperresponders are basically metabolically healthy. Now, he refuses to say that lean mass hyperresponders are at no risk or low risk, because we just don't know yet. He says we can't extrapolate from the data that we have to this brand new phenotype. So even though I'm a little bit more at ease, I think when I'm doing my sprints on the treadmill, I should probably be clocking myself with a rosary rather than a stopwatch. 2.5 Hail Marys with a heart rate of 173 beats per minute. Anyways, the date of my physical was April 25th. I actually went in and talked to the doctor. My blood pressure was great as usual, but I fully expected the doctor was going to express some really serious concerns about the LDL. And he didn't actually react at all, which was surprising. We talked about my diet and then we moved on. In fact, he used the word carnivore before I ever did. And that kind of told me he was familiar to some degree. So maybe that's why he never brought up statins. Nothing. In fact, his major concern was more in regards to the numbers associated with my mean corpuscular volume, or hemoglobin, which related to my iron. But I'll discuss that in my next video. Thanks for watching. Take care.